I saw a chart the other day, and I have to admit, sometimes they take the price of like Bitcoin or any other given asset, and they do something to it, and they create this other funny chart. And I have no idea how they made this chart, but it was like Bitcoin, but the chart was flat, and you could see every spike in the Bitcoin price. And basically, between the halvenings are when Bitcoin's mining rewards gets cut in half. And that usually actually starts before, it precipitates a bull market in Bitcoin. So basically, between these 4-year periods, you usually have a bear market. But halfway through that period, there is a mid-cycle bounce. And I've never really noticed this before, but when it was shown on this chart, like it did look like there is this pattern of massive spike right at the halvening, and then it comes down, and then at like about the 2-year mark, you have this kind of mid-market bounce, and it can be quite a high bounce. I do remember it at the time. I remember when Bitcoin was kind of coming back before this latest bull market, and I was thinking, Bitcoin's back, it's going to start taking off again, and then it kind of collapsed back down again. And you had the same period afterwards of this bear market before it started going up again. It gave me hope. It made me feel happy because I thought maybe we are in for a bit of a rally in the short term. But yeah, I mean, on the whole, if you do kind of think about Bitcoin's bear markets and bull markets and that whole cycle, we are in the bear market zone now. So like, and if you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to want to buy on the next halvening, it usually starts rising about 6 months before the next halvening, and that's in about 18 months' time. So we've got like 18 months of
crypto winter.
Yeah, sideways action with Bitcoin. So you still too skeptical? If you had more cash, would you be putting some into?
I don't know about right now. I feel like there isn't enough panic in the market. I'm not in Ethereum. I'm not in Bitcoin, and I think I'm just in Avalanche and Avalanche-based coins and Trader Joe and stuff like that. And I would like to see if Avalanche dropped half from here, then I don't think I would be able to not buy some. I'd have to buy some.
Oh, classic. Every time there's a bear market, everyone's like, I just want it to go a little bit lower and then I'll sell. And then when it's going up, it's like, I just want it to go a little bit, and then I'll buy. And then when it's going up, they say, I just want it to go a little bit higher, and then I'll sell. And, you know, that never comes. Because when you get to that point, it's just a little bit more. I mean, talking about Avalanche, I think Avalanche's current prices are an absolute steal.
They are.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but I would like to see it even lower. I mean, I say it's an absolute steal. I wouldn't want to buy more. So, I want to be like, oh my God, I'd be stupid not to buy some more.
Yeah.
At the moment, it is a steal, considering its previous high. It is a steal, but I would like to see it sort of half from here. Where are we at the moment with Avalanche price?
I think it's around, $17, $18, $19 maybe. It's bouncing around that area.
And that's about 13 or 14 pounds?
14, 15 pounds.
To be honest, 9. 9 is my 9 is my price. That would be my buying price. If Avalanche hit £9 again, I would. I don't think I'd be able to stay out the market, to be honest.
Interesting. One of the things I read recently is that Robert Kiyosaki was like, yeah, I really want to get back into Bitcoin, or I really want to buy more Bitcoin, but I really want to see it come down to the $1,100 level. And that struck me, because I'm like, if Bitcoin went down that low, I'd be thinking, okay, it's done now. It's like the game's over, because it's such a massive break in the pattern. And I know that the recent bull market has been a break in the pattern. We didn't see a parabolic blow off top, and that's kind of what I was waiting for. I was waiting for a parabolic blow off top, and that's the main reason why when that second rise came along, I was believing it could go, was because I've up until this bull market, every time we've had a bull market, it's always ended in a parabolic blow off top, where it's been 10 to 20% gains per day for like 6 or 7 days, and then it just cracks. And that's what we've seen, and we haven't seen that this time. Maybe it's because the market is so massive now that you wouldn't see something like that. I have no idea, but you look at these things and you kind of think, what does this mean? Because like the pattern's broken. I think all of these stock to flow chart things have broken. So, but at the same time, is this a maturing market? We just don't know. But the thing is, if it dropped down to $1,100, that's a that's a 60th of its previous price.
Yeah,
a 60th. If it's gone down to a 60th, it's like, whoa, can we really do this Bitcoin thing anymore? Goodness gracious me! I hope we don't get there.
It does depend, because I think that I should really take a look at the volume, the trading volumes over the course of these bear and bull markets, because I think what generally happens is, because even if you've got, like, say, how many Bitcoin are in circulation now? It's like 20...
Well, eventually it will be 21 million, but I think it's around 18, 19 million.
Yeah. And so you can have all of those coins, but if only 60,000 of them are being traded, you can make it go up and down massively. So you've got a lot of people selling at the moment, and if you watch when the volume comes down, that's when, like in a bear market, when the volume comes down, I would imagine that's when you start to see the price hit the point of the hodlers, the true believers, because no matter how many Bitcoins there are out there, there are millions of true believers, and they'll be holding on to it, and then the market starts to go stale, the volume, just trading volume, and then they'll think, I'll get some more, it's really cheap. And then buying starts to overpower the selling, and then eventually you start hitting a bull market again. So it would be interesting to look at the volume stats on these bull and bear markets in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I've always wondered about the volume, like, and how the volume affects, because from what you've said and what I've heard from other people, it sounds like, I don't know, I think it would work in reverse. And I can't actually verbalize what I'm thinking at the moment, but surely when the volume goes down, it could actually move quite significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess that's not a strong move.
No, yeah, but I mean, it's not going to be like, it can be strong moves, but we're talking about a lot of trading now. So, you know, when so there's some projects that me and you have been into that are like some of these game things. I can't remember what they're called now. These launched games, like crypto based and stuff like that. And there's so few participants in the market that single trades make massive difference. But obviously, on more established things like Ethereum, Bitcoin, stuff like that, you're never going to see the volume trade below a certain amount. But when you start to see it get low and the price isn't dropping much, you know, I would imagine you've hit that level where you've got down to the hodlers. Everyone who was like too weak, all the weak hands have sold out, and the hodlers are just sitting there and they're waiting for that bull run, and they might even start buying in. Yeah.
I think I'm prepared to say at this stage in the game that I think the bottom is in, and I don't. Yeah, I know. I never make these kinds of claims, but I don't mean that it can't go lower. It's going to go up and down in the current range for a while. I don't think that Bitcoin is going to go below $15,000.
I think I know what you mean, but I mean I don't think it will either. But I think that 10,000 is the place where it won't go, and if it does go below there, it will be pushed back above it relatively quickly, and it shouldn't break 10,000 because it's the 5-figure mark. It's the 5-figure mark, and once Bitcoin gets down to a 4-figure mark, that is psychologically a big, like, people think, I can't believe it's that cheap. So yeah, 15,000 is, it's not a psychological level really. I mean, it is kind of around that. It's below the previous high, so that's a good place where buyers like to be, below the previous high. But I think in the economic turmoil that we're in now, I would say 10,000 is the place where you're just not going to see it really go below.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't quite take into account the state of the markets at the moment with the inflation, and are the central banks going to raise interest rates? Are they going to drop interest rates? It's the 30th of June, and I'm thinking that it's going to be like that. They're going to bring out the second quarter figures and say, look, we're in recession now, and we could have quite a lot of volatility there. But they always seem to do what you don't expect them to do. So they might, because they've been talking about raising interest rates and stuff, and they might say, yeah, the interest rates are bad, but we're dropping the interest. The figures are bad. We're in recession now. We've had 2 quarters of negative GDP or whatever it is that causes them to decide that we're in a recession, but we're dropping the interest rates instantly, and then you have a positive reaction from the stock market. I just don't know. I do feel like over the next couple of days we're going to have volatility.
Why volatility over the next couple of days?
Because it's the end of the second quarter.
I'm not sure when the data comes out. I would imagine it'd be the first full week. I don't know. The only ones I really know of are the US jobless claims and non-farm payroll, which is the first Friday of the month, except for when it's like the first of the month. So if it's like the first or second of the month, they sometimes knock it onto the next week.
Yeah. Well, within the next week and a half, 10 days or something. But yeah, I mean, as I was saying, I didn't take that into account because now that Bitcoin is so big and now that it is so exposed to a lot of, what do they call it, like just industry investors, like the old school money, the old school investors, it is going to be very much tied to what's going on in the markets and stuff. So it's going to be more reactive. So yeah, maybe it could go down a lot further.
Well, remember this. So obviously I fix phones, and although I never used to ask for codes, we now ask for codes on every phone. We test every phone so that we know how it is when it came in, we know how it is when it goes out. And you'd be surprised how many Bitcoin apps, Binance, crypto, and MetaMask that I see on people's phones.
Really?
Yeah, you'd be well surprised. And the types of people, not to be judgy, but I see a MetaMask on someone's phone and I think, really, you?
Yeah.
And that really does go to show how not saturated the market is, but how well, like how it's spread so much. And
the adoption.
There's one added thing to that. You talk about these investors and institutional money in the market, but Bitcoin hasn't been tested properly by a recession yet, and I would say that, I mean, there was the repo market crash in 2018 that no one knows about. You go and look at 2018, look at any charts in 2018, the Dow, all of that kind of stuff.
There was some funky stuff going on.
Yeah, and I think there was also a little bit of yield curve inversion going on there, but no one knows about it, so the public didn't know about it, and this time there's going to be no escaping it, and no matter what happens, things are going to be pretty bad. And this could be great for Bitcoin. It could be bad for Bitcoin. You really don't know how it's going to affect it. So it's just like, be careful. whatever you do, be careful.
Yeah, we're always waiting to hear from the central banks what they're going to do, because that is going to dictate the market. I mean, what a power to have. Obviously, the power to create money out of thin air is quite something. But then to have the power to dictate the movements in the market, like they have prior knowledge. Like the whole thing about markets is like no one's supposed to know. It's supposed to be an emergent price. It emerges randomly through like chaos or whatever. But they can decide. They can say, okay, we're going to whack up the interest rates by 2 base points or whatever they call it. And then all of a sudden, everyone's in panic and everyone's selling. And then the same afternoon, there was too much panic. They can use any excuse they want. And they can say, we've dropped it 75 basis points now. So, and then it starts shooting up again. And we're going to keep it here for the next 3 months. And do you see what I mean? Like, that really annoys me, because as investors, we are trying to decide whether we're going to have inflation or deflation. I mean, if you don't know about investing, like if you weren't into investing before, the whole game for the last several decades has been buy assets and catch inflation in your assets. Like the central banks are like printing money, and all that money just ends up in assets. And housing, yeah. But they've been, every time we've faced a little bit of a problem, they've reinflated the bubble. They just kept it going, and we've had this really long 2008. Everyone talks about like 2008 like it was the worst thing in the world. No, it was a walk in the park.